Hi, I'm Becky Johnson with Sweetheart Quilt Design Company, and today I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorite template sets. And this is called the Sashing Star Set. It's by Marti Michell Marketing, and you can find it on our website. And it allows you to make sashing strips between your blocks, and you can do them different ways. You can do them with two long ones, or two short ones, or a long one and a short one, which you can see is my favorite one. Or you can have them make triangles coming out. So what you do, there's three pieces to this template set. There's this long piece, I'll put it against this so you can see it, where you can cut the ends of the sashing, and it comes in 2.5 inches wide, or there's lines for 3.5 or 4.5 inches wide. And then there's these two little pieces. This one cuts the wings for the short angles, and this one cuts the wings for the long angles. Now, when you have a piece of sashing, and this is already cut, but it'll let you see how you use the ruler. So you line it up on the 3.5 inch lines like that, and then you can cut this short side. And since this is 12.5 inches long, that's the sashing size, then I can go ahead and cut this long one at the same time. Then I can reverse this around and cut the long one and the short one. Now, when you're cutting the sashing, if you're using the long side, make sure all your pieces are right side up. When I was cutting the sashing for this quilt, I had them just how I'd cut them, so they were wrong sides together. And you can obviously see that I cut half of them backwards, and I had to recut them. So don't make that mistake. Now, I love this ruler, and I've gone on and done some other things with it. One of the things I like to do is if I'm making a pattern that has angles in it like this, they'll usually give you a paper template. So I take this ruler set and compare it. And you can see here that the angles are the same. And of course on the paper template it would just fit right in there because you'd have the seam allowances still. So I was able to use this and the elongated piece to make these stars. So that's a fun use of it. I had one quilt that had all sorts of shapes, angles to it, and I was able to use this for all but one of them. I only had to use a paper template on one of them. Now I've also done some other patterns that use this ruler. This one is called Panel Stars, and you can see the star here that's using that ruler. This one is called Star Blast. It's all sorts of fun. They connect this way, they connect this way, and then the color goes a completely different direction. And it comes in lap size and baby size. So that's a lot of fun to use that ruler for. I've got another one called Electric Stars. It's a nice, fun quilt and lets you showcase some fabrics. And this one, Starry Starry Night, is actually a layer cake pattern. So when you take your layer cake, you get to pick out pieces and make the star from a layer cake. So that's a lot of fun. And then I have another pattern that I'm developing that I've used this ruler in a whole different way. So I'll just give you a sneak peek of how it looks. Anyway, watch for that on my website. So when you're doing this, and you're making those small stars, I was making stars to go with a unicorn panel for a baby quilt. And I wanted these stars to be on point, so I made the background extra big. So we're going to use this ruler, here it is, to cut these background squares. Now, since we're using the elongated side, it's very important, and I'm using a white on white, so it's hard to see, that you have all of these right side up. Okay, so I'm setting them up right side up. You can do them one at a time. You can do them two at a time. I'm going to cut them 4 at a time. Now, when you cut this, so I want the short side on the right side, and I'm doing 2.5 inches wide. So I'm lined up with the 2.5, and I highly recommend you cut the short side first, because if you cut the long side first, you can see you don't have nearly as much to line up with. So I like to cut the short side first. You make this blunt part up here even with the upper edge. And then we're going to cut that. And then I'll turn it around and line up at the top and my lines on the side. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the long pieces. There we go. Now for the star points, I've cut a strip of fabric at 2.5 inches. With this elongated one, it can be used right side up or upside down. In this quilt, I used it upside down. In this quilt, I used it right side up. So you can see that, but you got to know which one you're doing. So on this one, it's right side up, and I'm doing the small size. So I'm going to lay this. I'm going to put the dotted line against the edge of my 2.5 inch strip and cut that side and cut these little angles here. They help you line up when you're going to sew it together. And then cut off the back side there. Yep, I got it. Ugh, not quite. That's a hard cut to make. And then I just turn it around and cut it the other way. After you make that first cut, you just have to cut one side of it. And then you cut this. Oops. All right, so there's our 4 elongated ones. Now for the shorter side, I've cut a little 1.5 inch strip. And because these are they're basically square. I mean, if the whole thing was there, it would be a square. So it doesn't matter which way up I use this, and I can cut them back to back. So I'm going to cut that one. Cut this and cut that. And then so I can get the right angles, I'm going to shift it to the other end. So I can cut these off too. And then I'll just go the other way. And shift it. Okay, and then I've got my 4 pieces. So then I can just sew these on. I can sew all these little ones on to the short side and the long ones on. You know, you sew it on, press it back, and then add this one and work my way around. I've got a little center square cut and make my star that looks like this. Then I'm going to put them in on point. So it's just a lot of fun. I love this ruler set. So look for it on our website, and thank you much. Please like us and subscribe. See you next time.